What's going on, everybody? Aidan from Birds vs. Boys here, coming to you live after the Eagles beat the Dolphins on Kelly Green Day with an official score of 31-17 on Sunday Night Football. And I know some of the numbers that we're going to get into tonight are staggering in terms of what the Eagles defense was able to do to the Dolphins. But in reality, it did not feel that surprising. And what they were able to do and what felt like it was going to be a scheduled win for quite some time now, just based on styles, energy, part of the schedule. Looking at the Dolphins, you wanted to see this team win an away game where there's a chill in the air, where they're not playing a bad team in 95-degree heat. And all of a sudden, they got a good Eagles team with a forceful defensive line that could disrupt their motion, disrupt their rushing game, which is what they did. And then an offense that's able to hold the ball and eliminate your quick strike capabilities as an offense. That's what the Eagles did with 6-7 minute drives. And oh yeah, there was a little energy in the air with the Kelly Green night and what's going on with Red October. Everyone is fired up. That was a great crowd. It looked awesome there in the stadium. A lot of celebrities, a lot of Kelly Green, everyone debuting their jerseys. People have been waiting for this moment since the Kelly Green jersey release in August, in July. It is now October. We've been waiting months and actually years for the release of this jersey. It was on prime time against a good team. You know it's going to be special, and you know this Eagles team was going to be locked in, as they were after a bad loss last week. This almost felt like a scheduled loss for the Dolphins. That's still a good team, but stylistically, they did not match up, and energy-wise, there was no way they were going to be able to match what was going on at Lincoln Financial Field tonight. It's just one of those special times to be a Philadelphia sports fan, and that's exactly what happened. So let's start with the defense, because I don't think we can start anywhere else. What a magnificent job to hold this offense to 10 points. I went live on TikTok at halftime, talked about how so far this year, they haven't even really needed to utilize third downs. They've been so good on offense, the Dolphins, on first and second down. They really haven't even needed third down. They've been that efficient in moving the ball and scoring. Tonight, the Eagles did a phenomenal job of putting them behind the sticks, setting up second and longs, creating third downs so that their pass rush could get home. It started with Hassan Reddick, who had multiple tackles for a loss. And as the Dolphins tried to use their speed to make this a sideline-to-sideline game, he almost startled them with how quickly he was getting to the ball and blowing it up. You look at the first drive of the game for the Dolphins. It went like this. Tackle for loss by Hassan Reddick, 2nd and 14. The next play, they get it out to the sideline in the flat to Tyreek Hill. He's contained by multiple people, which was the key. Get multiple people around him like bees protecting a hornet's nest is exactly what it should have looked like. And that's what it did on that second down. It's 3rd and 14 after they contain him. And then they get pressure on 3rd and 14 where Jalen Carter just absolutely bull rushes someone and injures him and knocks him out of the game. That is exactly what they needed to do. Put them behind the line of scrimmage on second downs, create third downs, and utilize that to get pressure. They had 4 sacks tonight, but I think there was the disruption of the running game where they only held them to 45 yards that really threw off the rhythm of this offense. It reminds me a little bit of the Oregon days where it was like the uniforms look cool. It looks cool when they're running Autzen Stadium. It looks cool when they're putting up 56 and they're flying around and they're just faster than everybody else. But then when you played a team who could win in the trenches, it became a lot harder to run that offense. And that's what it felt like tonight. It felt like the old Oregon days with Chip Kelly trying to utilize speed and then running into a SEC defense. And all of a sudden, it doesn't look as fast. And all of a sudden, there's people in your backfield. And all of a sudden, you can't take the deep shots. You're not in 2nd and 2s with Raheem Mostert. I know Devin Achane is out, but that's just what it felt like. They demolished the speed and demoralized this offense by their ability to disrupt everything motion-wise and shut down the running game. I was just head over heels with how that defensive line performed, and it was exactly what we expected. It's what they've done. It's what they will continue to do. Getting Jalen Carter back, getting Fletcher Cox back, that healthy unit is probably the best defensive line in the league. I can't believe how well that they did. All right, so from an offensive point of view, this is what I love about the Eagles. This was another key to the defense. They can put together long, sustained drives that last 6 to 7 minutes that result in points and makes it so demoralizing for your team because your defense cannot get off the field and there's nothing that the other team can do. It doesn't matter how many yards Tyreek Hill has. It doesn't matter how efficient Tua has been this year. It doesn't matter if Jalen Waddle is healthy or not. If they're not on the field, they can't contribute. The Eagles did that to them multiple times tonight to shorten the amount of series that the Dolphins offense could have. The first drive of the game was 10 plays, 7 minutes. It should have been a touchdown, but they got points. Another drive in that half, 11 plays, 6.5 minutes, 80 yards, touchdown. The final drive that we've been calling the Eagles classic fuck you drive. Fourth quarter, they get the ball. You know what they want to do, and they're going to do it. It was 13 plays, 83 yards, 6.5 minutes. They had 2 successful tush pushes, and it resulted in a touchdown after the Slay turnover. The Dolphins had no chance of recovering. By the end of that drive, they were down 14 with 4 minutes left to go in the game and 1 timeout. It was over. It was a wrap. It was a classic fuck you drive. It was everything you like to see from them. It was 4th down conversions using the tush push. They took a deep shot to A.J. Brown, which was awesome. And they were able to run the ball successfully, including getting into the end zone in the red zone, which was part of the problem so far this year with Kenny Gainwell just bouncing off guys and staying upright. Phenomenal job to keep the Dolphins offense off of the field by your own offense being able to convert on 3rd downs, by able to hit some big plays with A.J. Brown and be able to score points. That is what you had to do. It's what they did tonight. And just quick on A.J. Brown, he went over the 125-yard mark again. That's 6 straight games. That ties Calvin Johnson. You may have heard of him, Megatron. Yeah, pretty good. It is pretty incredible that in a night where Tyreek Hill is as awesome as he is, A.J. Brown went toe-to-toe with him and looked just as good and has just as big an impact on a game. I grew up where in an era where when Terrell Owens came to this team, I thought I was watching a witch play football because I had never seen a receiver who was actually good and could actually dominate a game from that position. That's how I feel with A.J. Brown right now. He is on the 2004 level of Terrell Owens where he can dominate the game from his spot, and he's doing it with the best in the league. He outperformed Cooper Kupp a few weeks ago, and you can make the case he outperformed Tyreek Hill tonight. He's been that good. He's been that dominant. He is on the 2004 Terrell Owens level. And honestly, he might be past it. That's how good he's been. And he sealed it tonight with that deep shot. What else do we got here? A lot of things that happened in this game that were pretty awesome, I think, just from a standpoint of efficiency, which we didn't see last week. The one thing that I also liked was the QB sneak play, just not abandoning it and not being demoralized by them constantly calling penalties on this. I don't get if it's player safety thing and you call offsides on both ways, and then all of a sudden, all right, then you have to run the play again. So now you're multiplying the amount of times that you have to run it. Is that really helping player safety? I don't get this offside thing. But in terms of penalties, aside from that offside, super clean game. Really clean game. And the Dolphins, this was the difference between a team who's becoming good and a team who is good. The Eagles looked ready for this moment, barely had any penalties tonight. But honestly, because they were offsetting penalties, I think we had 0. The Dolphins had 10. They started the game with a delay of game. They had a false start that put them in a 3rd and 18 at the end of the half. They had another time where they had to burn a timeout because they were going to get another delay of game. They got tricked on a stunt, and they had a holding penalty that called off a touchdown for Tyreek Hill. They made some bad penalties because it looks like they're not prepared and not totally focused on this moment in the way that the Eagles refocused themselves after a bad, inefficient week last week. It was a very clean game, a very disciplined game. It looked like a team ready for a playoff moment against a playoff team. The Eagles are good. They are Super Bowl contenders. They have been there before. The Dolphins are becoming good. You could tell that in the penalty discrepancy and some of the mistakes that the Dolphins made compared to how clean the Eagles played that game. They had turnovers again. Jalen held the ball for too long and had another interception that got deflected on a play that didn't look like it was going to work. But aside from that, it was a really clean game. I'm just going to ignore the James Bradbury face mask and just continue to say we played pretty clean and take it from there. We were on TikTok Live, and some of the Dolphins fans weren't too thrilled about how that went. But all in all, like there were mental mistakes that the Dolphins were making with the false starts, the delay of games, having to burn timeouts, coming out your first series and getting a delay of game. Come on, you are running a scripted offense in that moment. You should know exactly what you're doing. So the Eagles didn't really have that problem. It was crisp, it was clean, it was disciplined, it was efficient. They got a lot of different guys involved on offense. I like the utilization of Dallas Goedert. They didn't get dismayed on the screen. The one screen got batted down, but there was a roughing the passer, and they went right back to it, utilized it again, and went for a touchdown. There was some creativity in the play calls, which you like to see. They kind of limited the deep shots that they took, but that was all right because I think they did a good job of setting it up and knowing when to swing for the fences, and they did, and hit it big with AJ Brown when they needed to the most. They were phenomenal, and that fourth down play was one of the greatest plays of the season for Jalen Hurts, rolling out, escaping pressure from Bradley Chubb, hitting AJ Brown down to the 1 yard line, QB sneak into the end zone. That is what Jalen Hurts does the best, and that was on display tonight. And he is one tough son of a bitch with everything that he does, because I thought there were some plays where he looked like he was gimpy, looked like he was hurt, and you really couldn't tell in that second half because of how well that they played. So all in all, I thought this was a phenomenal game. Hats off to the defense. You just felt like Darius Slay was going to get a pick tonight. You just felt like they were going to get pressure on Tua, and you felt like they were going to continue this run of holding teams in their rushing game. 45 yards on the ground tonight for the Dolphins. It was a great job of disrupting their motion, disrupting what they wanted to do early in drives. That sets up these Tyreek Hill deep shots, these Jalen Waddle shots over the middle when they clear space. They were constantly in 2nd and 12s. It's because of how well that line is playing, especially tonight. I thought Hassan Reddick did a great job. Also, big numbers for Tyreek Hill, but they still did a great job of containing him. We use the term gang tackling all the time. There were multiple times where the Eagles did a good job of gang containing him. There was one play after the turnover where they forced a field goal, and one of those plays was sending Tyreek Hill backwards because you had 4 people around him, and he had a loss of 4 after the catch. They did a great job of gang containing him. Not just gang tackling, gang containing. Don't let his speed beat you. Shout out to Eli Ricks, who had a few plays on him. Seems to be a real diamond in the rough. And you just knew Darius Slay was going to get one tonight too. It was a total top to bottom defensive masterclass. It was fun to watch, and it makes you excited because they're getting healthier and healthier. They should have Reed Blankenship back next week, hopefully. They should have Bradley Roby back. You have more trust in Eli Ricks, and now Slay and Bradbury are back as well. Carter's back on the defensive line. Cox is back on the defensive line. At full strength, this is a really, really good defense, and they've proved it so far this year. They've bailed the offense out of ton, and when the offense is running like this, you got to feel pretty good. So I don't even know who you want to give a sticker to. I just feel like this is going to shock some people with how they played and how they kind of really dominated this game, aside from the Dolphins getting a 3rd and 18 at the end of the half, which felt like it shifted the momentum and allowed them to score. Aside from that, though, I really don't think that they offered much, and it felt like they were in control for a lot of this game. We got a comment here in the system. Let's fucking go. Yeah, let's fucking go. That was awesome. That's exactly what you hope for tonight. That was an incredible game, start to finish. Kelly Green night, under the lights, and you win 31-17 against a really good Dolphins team. They did everything right. It was the exact reset that we thought it would be after the Jets. As soon as that came in against the Jets, I was like, all right, so I guess this means we're winning against the Dolphins next week. That's just who they are as a team. That's just how good they are. They did a phenomenal job. They were so locked in. You could tell that they were locked in. And it's good to see. I think it'll bring a lot of confidence to this fan base because we're very close to the gauntlet of the schedule. We got the Commanders next week. Then you go, then it's the gauntlet. Then it's Cowboys, Bills, Chiefs, everybody. Seahawks, Cowboys again. It is the full gauntlet. So to see a clean 60-minute performance with efficiency on offense, conversions on offense, and just masterclass defensive performance to hold that Dolphins offense to 10 points, that has to make you feel really good at 6-1 where they're at in this schedule. So we'll be back this week. Big weeks for the Eagles and the Cowboys. Cowboys were on bye. We'll be back with our full show. But again, this just felt right. This just felt like how Kelly Green Day should go. Let's just wear these jerseys every week, by the way. This is awesome. We'll be back this week. Amazing win for the Eagles. For sure, the win of the year so far.